is Sayyid Kamran Heather with the new video, Problems in Learning a New Language. Dear viewers, as today is my birthday and for this I'm sharing the two videos for you as a gift. Okay, so in the first video we shall discuss about the problems in learning a language, and in other words in other lecture we shall discuss about how to solve these problems, and we shall discuss some other solutions to uh, learn a new language. Dear viewers, one of the most important thing which becomes the burden in our way to learn a language is lack of interest. Interest is the most important thing for learning any new thing. Until and unless you are not interested in learning, the learning becomes very difficult for you. So, in order to create the interest in learning any new language, you have to find out the motives behind learning the new language. For example, learning a language may increase your skills, it may help you in getting your jobs, it may help you in making the friends abroad, or there may be the plenty of other reasons in learning the language which makes you interested in learning the language. So you are required to find out those motives that motivate you, or the things that motivate you to learn the language. So self motivation is very important factor in learning the new language. Dear viewers, after the lack of interest, one of the most common problem faced by people is fear of failure. So fear is just the emotion, nothing else. So most of the people have fear of making mistakes, or the fear of what the others will think about us. So this becomes one of the greatest hurdle in learning. So this fear hinders us and stops us from learning new things. We are often afraid of making the mistakes. So until and unless these fears will exist in our mind, we shall not make progress in learning new things. So we should always keep this in mind, that fear is just in mind. It does not have any existence anywhere other than the mind. So in order to learn more things quickly, we have to overcome this problem. We have to overcome our failures. We have to overcome our fear of failures. So for this purpose, we have to remove or eradicate and eliminate all the fears in our mind. Dear viewers, after the fear of failure, the next factor that hinders in learning is the misconception about the age factor. So there are some misconceptions about the age. So now question arises that does age really matter, or does young age have any advantage in learning? So actually, as we have discussed, that these are just the misconception, and one of the greatest misconception is that at the younger age things are more easier to learn, and we cannot learn things or new things easily at the elder age or much older age. So this is merely a misconception. It is a fact that every age has some advantage, and children have their own advantage, and grown-ups have their own advantages in learning new things. So the children at the young age are very fast in learning, but there are some problems as well for the little children to learn, such as for learning the new language they have to learn the tone of voices as well, the facial expressions as well, the context of the words as well, or the context of the sentences, or the pitch of sounds, according to the culture or plenty of other factors, while the grown-ups have already gone through this stage, so they do not need to learn these things because they are already aware of these things. So all that they have to learn is just the grammar and the vocabulary or the syntax of the language. After the edge factor, the worst problem according to me and my personal experience is learning language as a subject rather than as a language. Okay, so we just take any language, any new language that we want to learn, just as a subject rather than the language. For example, we have been learning in South Asian countries, especially from the at least from class 6, we learn English language, and even after graduation, we are not as much as fluent in English as we should be. So, what is the problem? The problem is that we have been taught the English language just as the subject rather than the language. So, the same problem can be applied to the other languages as well. That usually we take the language just as a subject rather than the language, and we focus more in grammar rather than the fluency. So we try to be perfectionist. Being perfectionist is not a bad thing. It's not a bad practice, but focus on just perfection rather than the fluency just reduce the speed of learning. So we should pay more attention in learning and tackling the language as the language rather than only focusing on grammar. No doubt grammar is essential in learning the language, but there are some more factors as well. So the instead of being perfectionist, we should try to be fluent. So fluency will ultimately lead us to perfection. And the other problem that we face is learning with translation rather than understanding the language. So usually in our school systems, especially in the government side, in the government schools, English subject, the English lessons of the English textbook are taught with the translation. So students become habitual of just learning through the translation rather than understanding the syntax or making their own sentences or understanding the gist of the language. So these are some of the most common problems that become a real hindrance or barriers in our ways to learn the languages. Last but not least, waiting for the suitable time or environment. Time and environment are the factors that totally depend upon us. It depends upon us that how do we choose the time that suits us for better learning. As far as environment is concerned, it is not always readily available for us. If we want to learn English, we should not wait for the native English speakers in our surroundings, or we do not need to go to any English speaking country. Same is true for the other languages as well. So it is better to create the environment in your mind. If you want to learn English language, then think in English. If you want to learn Arabic, then think in Arabic, and so on. Writing your own text in that particular language and maintaining the diary will be of more use and help for you. See you soon in our upcoming video. Your likes and comments are highly appreciated.